You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Let's take you inside the Brumbies sheds after last night's game.
We are the Brumbies, wild and free. Hey! Tough and exciting is what we try to be. Hey! We run the ball around on our way to victory, and we'll never ever take this because we are the ACT.
Yeah, all right, that's enough of that. It's with a sense of great trepidation that I take you to Canberra and bring in rugby writer, broadcaster, podcaster, commentator, great friend of the show, Brett McKay. How's your day going, mate?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good. Oh, Piney, this is wonderful. How long have we been talking about Hurricanes and Brumbies games over the years? And how often has it fallen my way?
I'm sure at some stage the balance will redress itself. Just before we get into any of it, did you think that was a try at the end for Adi Xavier?
Yeah, look, I've got to admit, I saw it. We're calling it for ABC Sport here in Canberra, and as he's gone down, and I've sort of followed the play a little bit, so I was actually sort of up near the 22. I was sort of advanced from my spot, and as he's gone down and he's gone low, this is going to be awfully close. And even when it went up as no try, I actually said on air, I've got a really bad feeling about this, Brumbies fans. I actually thought the replay was going to show ball on the ground, and I didn't see the work and the effort that Luke Reimer had gone to get his hand in that position to be able to get underneath. And it wasn't until I actually got home and watched the replay 10 or a dozen times to fully appreciate that incredible effort. It's a try saver, to use the obvious cliche, but that in such a big moment is such a massive, massive play, and it's just absolutely incredible to do it. For anyone that's listening and you're looking back at the replay, keep an eye on. Luke Reimer's hand has got wrist tape on it, and that's the key. You follow the wrist tape, and you see it's under the ball the whole time, and it's absolutely incredible.
All right, well, I'm going to take your word for it at the moment. But obviously, big moment in the game. But if we sort of pull back and look at the 80 minutes or the 84 or whatever it was, do you reckon the Brumbies deserve to win the game?
Look, I do. I felt like they were on top, but there was one of those games where the momentum went back and forward. And when the Canes scored that first try, I thought, all right, well, this will be a test. They've got to hit back now. And they did. They hit back almost straight away and then scored again. And then even when Devon Flanders breaks off that scrum and runs 65 metres, and I don't think even he could believe that he got a 65-metre clear run to the line, I thought, all right, well, they've got to hit back from this again. And they did. They found that try through Tom Wright. And it felt like it was going to take a massive defensive effort to get there, and that's exactly what it did. So I wouldn't call it an undeserved win at all. And look, 5-3 tells you that they, certainly were on top on that front. Knockout rugby, teams are going to play kick more at goal. I mean, even Damien McKenzie was taking penalty shots yesterday afternoon, wasn't he? So, I think the Brumbies have won that one pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Look, I didn't mean to suggest they didn't. No, I think on the balance of things, you're right. Try scoring. I think the Brumbies' defence at the end was Herculean, as you say. The Hurricanes' defence in the first half perhaps less so. And it was an epic battle. So
fantastic.
It was a great game of rugby.
Let me say this to you, mate. Had that have gone up, had Xavier's non-try gone up as a try, I'm still not sure whether it would have been overturned. I do wonder if they would have concluded that ball might have been on the ground. So that's the other variable in this is that whether it would have been conclusive enough to overturn. The fact that it went up as no try, I think it was easier to uphold that decision than to overrule it.
Yeah, good point. So now then, the Brumbies earn themselves another week. They often talk about earning themselves another Monday and of course the week that follows. And then it's off to Hamilton to take on the Chiefs. So how do you assess their chances of a repeat dose a week from now?
Yeah, look, they'll look back at what the Reds were able to do yesterday and even what the Reds were able to do in New Plymouth a month or 5 weeks ago, and they will they will look at that and say there is no reason why we can't pressure the Chiefs the same way. And you look at the way the Chiefs play, and it felt to me like, and again I mentioned Damien McKenzie, it felt to me like he was very happy to play the patient, pragmatic game yesterday. And again, that's what's required in knockout rugby. The Brumbies will back their defence, I've got no doubt. But what I think will be interesting is that the Chiefs kick the ball a lot and the Brumbies like to counter-attack, so that could work in their favour. But as much as the Chiefs do kick, their line-out actually isn't great. So I actually wonder whether the Brumbies will try and force the Chiefs to kick for line a lot more. And if they don't, I'm quite sure the Brumbies will find the line more and try and attack them through set piece, because that's been the strength of the Brumbies game, has been certainly their line-out success rate has been amongst the best this year. That isn't quite the case for the Chiefs. And so I think that they will sense a chance through set piece next week in Hamilton.
Across the season, Brett, who has really stood out in a Brumbies shirt for you?
Oh, there's been a couple. I mean, Tom Wright's shift from right wing to fullback. I think at the start of the year we were thinking, yeah, this could actually work. And I'd say it was maybe only 2 or 3 games in, we're thinking, hang on, his game has now got new elements to it, and he was starting to become more involved in the attack, and he's a genuine secondary playmaker now. And the Brumbies have actually changed their attacking shape because of his ability to play like that. He's been such a crucial injection from the back, so he's been great. I think Rob Valentini's been as consistent as ever, and he was enormous again last night. Nick Frost has been absolutely fantastic this year. But then it's been the guys, Leniki Tau's been brilliant all year, but it's been the guys maybe a bit off Broadway that have really stood out. Like, I think Ryan Lonigan has roared into Wallabies contention this year to be Nick White's backup at scrum half. I mean, even guys like Ollie Sapsford has been really good in the midfield, played left wing last night. Corey Toole has just been a revelation on the left wing, and the old adage you can't coach speed has certainly been true. But Luke Reimer, I'll finish with, has just been a really, really solid footballer for a good couple of years now. But this year it actually feels like he's really been able to make an impact. He's almost been the perfect number 20 for the Brumbies. He comes on in the last, it might only be 10 minutes. Sometimes it's 15, sometimes it's 30 minutes. But he comes on and he has an impact almost every game. And the irony / karma plenty of him with that play last night is that it was Luke Reimer that was on the ball and had won what they thought was the winning pilfer in the semi-final against the Blues last year, and it wasn't given. And that still stings to the Brumbies. It still comes up every now and again. So for Luke Reimer to come up with that play in that moment again is just an enormous, enormous moment for a young player.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just before you go, just from a wider sense of Australian rugby, we're 13 weeks away now from Rugby World Cup. How would you, I don't know, describe the levels of optimism around Wallabies rugby at the moment?
It actually feels a bit unknown at the moment, and that's all to do with the fact that there's a new coach involved, and he's got a new way of thinking to what Dave Rennie did and had put in place, and so it's actually a little bit unknown. He's said that the slate is clean effectively and that he'll have a different way of thinking about players. And I've got no doubt that will be true. There'll be some players that probably wouldn't have been in the frame with Dave Rennie in charge who suddenly are again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but how that actually has us sitting and feeling about that it's a bit unknown. It's a bit unknown. And I think we'll have more of an idea, if you ask me, in a month, 6 weeks' time, once we're well and truly into the Rugby Championship, and we can get an idea of what the Eddie Jones Wallabies are playing like and are going to look like. We had an idea of what Dave Rennie plays like. I'm not sure that Eddie Jones is going to be able to have the Wallabies playing the same way he had England playing. And to be brutally honest, I don't think I'd want him having the Wallabies playing the same way that he had England playing by the end. So it's going to be interesting. The 5 teams, I think, are actually in a similar spot to where they were last year. And, we've seen moments from the Reds. We've seen moments from the Waratahs. The Melbourne Rebels, I think, have been the big improvers this year, and their rugby is better. Yet they actually finished a position lower than last year. So there's still that sort of consistently inconsistent element across the 5 teams at the moment.
Always love catching up, mate. Enjoy your week. Enjoy next weekend, and no doubt we'll catch up again soon, eh?
Yeah, we will. We've been overdue, and I've enjoyed this, and I'm very, very glad you sent me a message this morning to see what I was up for it.
Tom and Brett, love it, mate. I knew. Look, the speed of your reply was just cosmic. Your agreement to come on. Good on you, mate. Brett McKay. Follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. BMC Sport on Twitter, and always a welcome guest on Weekend Sport.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.